Okay, hello preppers, homesteaders, and maybe military collectors. Sorry about that if you heard the goat in the background. I'm gonna go over some other vintage gear today. Today is gonna be the Blackhawk SF load-bearing vest. The SF stands for Special Forces Load-Bearing Vest, and it is just a cool thing. The year was 1996. I was on a med float deployment. We were doing helo vessel board search and seizure operations with Navy SEALs. As a young Marine, you couldn't get any more high speed than that. I thought it was awesome. Before deployment, we were still using, we still had the flight suits, the black hoods, all the cool gear, but we had H harnesses, Vietnam era H harnesses. So on a trip before deployment, I went to London Bridge Trading, got some gear, and then I went to Blackhawk and I saw the Special Forces load-bearing vest, and I got approval to buy it from my unit, and I bought one and I was rocking that thing, and it was pretty cool. I actually have the old Blackhawk Industries catalog from that era, and there is the vest right there. And what's cool is it actually says colors, black and OD green, and camo available upon special request. I do remember when I went there, they had a camo one, and I believe maybe somebody ordered it or whatnot, but I got it and I was like, it was the coolest thing. And I actually have it right here. But here's something else though too, from the time period. We used to wear a rigger's belt, very similar to this one. Everybody on the unit had one. We had a rigger's belt, and then we wore the Alice belt, such as this one, and then we carried M9 Berettas and spare magazines. So I had 3 spare magazines, and this was the old London Bridge. It actually had Kydex in it. This was peak cool in the 90s. And then we had the London Bridge Trading drop holster where you could put another magazine right here too. And this was peak coolness in the 90s. You couldn't get any more high speed than this. But then we have the SF load-bearing vest. And this thing is 1,000 weight Cordura nylon. I mean, this thing is built awesome. It had a drag handle on it. It was just super heavy duty. And this one, I don't have it mounted to an Alice belt, but it was mounted to the Alice belt. I think I had a separate belt because sometimes we wore the pistol and then sometimes we didn't. And it's kind of a long time ago, so I'm trying to remember. But I'll throw this thing on because it is pretty cool. But just a quick overview. This one, believe it or not, though, I'm sad to say, is not my original one. The original one in the early 2000s, when Marine Corps switched to MARDET and Coyote Brown, everything, I just ended up selling it cheap, gave it away, whatever, and regretted it. And then I finally found one on eBay a few years ago, and I got it. And the one I got on this one, it's actually brand new. And believe it or not, I paid less than when I bought it new. So, because the prices are in here. Special Forces load-bearing vests, $139 in 1994 dollars. Wow. So the way I had mine rigged though, I had on the back, I had a London Bridge Trading medical butt pack, and then I had a smaller one mounted up here somehow. I'm not even sure how I did it. I might have like tapped into these, but I had a little one there and then the other butt pack there. And nobody else in my unit did that. I mean, everybody had like web gear, but the SEALs had like multiple little packs on their back, and I wanted to be, you know, as close to them, you know, as possible. So that's kind of how I had mine rigged. And then I had a camelbak on here also in a woodland cover that was underneath actually. And I had a clear tube, but it had 1-inch OD webbing that I got from the sew shop on the ship, and I put it over the tube to hide the tube because I think the SEALs did that. So we did, you know, I copied the same thing. And then, but this has an adjustment on the side with strings, kind of like shoelaces. You can widen it, make it smaller, both sides like that. It's a very heavy mesh. Okay, You can see it on me now. Before I zip it up, and on the inside here, you have these nice big zippers, and you can put in, you know, maps, snacks, all kinds of stuff in there. You get that on both sides. And it's all mesh too, so it will breathe very good. Okay, it is on me now. It has really nice padded shoulder straps. What I loved about this, and one of the main reasons I bought this, I was a small dude even back then, like imagine even smaller, skinnier, smaller, you know, scrawny. The old school H harness, when we would run, we ran all the time, we ran a lot. It would bounce all over and fall off my shoulders, no matter how I rigged it. I tried everything. I bought this thing was locked onto me. I mean, it was like, you put the belt on down here and it would just hug me like awesome. It was just the coolest thing. And what I liked about it, the magazine pouches, they're kind of slanted. They would hold 2 AR-15 magazines in each of these pouches. And back then, security forces also used MP5s. MP5 magazines will fit in here too, which is pretty cool. And they will close up. And then you had like a grenade pouch down here. And, you know, I think back then we put some kind of a medical field dressing. Everybody had one right here. I think we had a little pouch with it taped on there. And then we also had those little plasticky box first aid kits, the Vietnam era Alice ones. I think I took the contents out and put it in my medical butt pack. And then I had some other items in there, you know, poncho liner, poncho, snacks, food, MRE. You know, I had my water from my camelbak. And a lot of times, believe it or not, when we were in other countries, we did things where we went to other embassies and things like that, helped out with security, different places. We were actually issued bottled water. So a lot of times we would just fit bottled water into the typical like 16-ounce size. And we would just use that. So like that would fit into a lot of these pouches. The photo that I showed you with me wearing this, I was using a Remington 870 shotgun. And not sure if I just shoved shotgun shells in the pouches, but a lot of times that's what we took for the shipboard operations. On the ship we were issued buckshot and slugs. You know, the idea was on the long P-ways, you could use the slugs and then the buckshot for everything else. And it was, that was cutting edge CQB weapons back in the day. So, yeah, turn around so you can see how this fits. And that's really it. I did do another video on the 3-day assault packs. Back then in this era, these were the hot item too. And this one's a woodland one too. Back then, I never actually bought one in the 90s. I didn't get one till the early 2000s. But I wanted an olive green one so bad, or a black one, because the Navy SEALs had black. And black was pretty cool back then, just kind of going by the pouches like I have on here. And in my unit, back in the 90s and mid-90s, we were allowed our web gear. We could buy certain items and use them. And kind of like this London Bridge trading in OD green, we were allowed OD green, black, and woodland, and nothing else, no other colors. I mean, there really wasn't anything else available. But I remember there were some guys in my unit that had Uncle Mike's black drop leg holsters. A lot of guys had black drop leg holsters. It was kind of one of those things that you would go to the London Bridge or Blackhawk and whatever was in stock. It was either in those colors, and that's what guys would get. And yeah, so hopefully that was helpful. And yeah. Oh, and the other thing too, not that anybody really cares, but this was the yellow label. I was informed my medical butt pack is the white label or silver label, and it's worth like $200 now. So that's probably why I got rid of a lot of my stuff. The prices on some of this used equipment has just skyrocketed, especially M81 Woodland. And for me personally, I've been trying to find stuff in OD green because that was, back then it was just a cool color. It just went with everything. I really liked it, you know, like the belts and things like that. My rigger's belt was OD green, and you know this. Oh, one other item we did have on this belt that I turned in, and I think we had to turn it in. We had a lanyard that we had on here, and then the Berettas had a loop on the butt of the pistol. There was a loop on there. We clipped the lanyard onto it because we did fast roping onto ships. That was one of the things that my unit primarily did, and we had to have secondary straps on everything. So we had to have this strap, and believe it or not, you would put this on there, and then there was another strap you could put through, you know, you could put some extra safety on there. And the idea was to use those extra straps while you're fast roping. Same thing with the magazines. So these had the Kydex in there. And then while you're fast roping, like on the helicopter, you would have, everything would have been closed like this. And then the idea was, as soon as you got on the, once you fast roped onto another ship, you could just flip these down, you know, and they were ready to go quickly, or, you know, maybe have one down and the rest up. And then you would, that extra strap on here you would take off. The lanyard would stay on though. The shotgun, we had a sling. Anything attached to here, we either use high-speed tape, like the, you know, the military duct tape, OD green, and then any of like the butt packs and things like that. They had Alice clips, which were notorious to fail. We would use zip ties, and everything was zip tied on, everything. So, because the last thing you'd want to be, we would cruise around in the helos with the doors open, and we had a rubber ducky, they called it, a little vest that was inflatable, and then like a chem light in case you fell off the helicopter, because none of us were strapped in, flying low to the water, banking all over the place, and you did not want any of your gear to fall off, because that would have been bad. It wouldn't have been. You would have to come back to the gunny and the captain and be like, "I lost my, I lost something." That was one of those things you just. So that's why everything was secured really good. And I'm pretty sure that dressing up here was taped on here. I'll have to look and try to find some older pictures. But yeah, so hopefully that was helpful. And yeah, like I said, I still love to look through this catalog. It just brings back a lot of memories. It's some of this old gear is just so cool. So thanks again, and until next time. Big camera. I'm still waiting for the temperature in my water to be perfect. It's still warming up. I'm gonna end it there. Thanks. Like and subscribe. I gotta support this shirt because it was a gift. I love it. I do. So thanks again.